SJ, my name is Jalisa Ross. I've recently become the lay leader at Haikey Chapel UMC in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and we are one of the oldest churches in the Tulsa area. We just celebrated 120 years there on our grounds, and it means a lot to now be a lay leader there at our home church. Whenever I walk into our fellowship hall, in the very back, it used to be the original church, and in the very back wall is a huge picture of some of the founding family, the Haikey family, which I descend from. And so still being a part of that legacy there at Haikey Chapel, still continuing on the work at Haikey Chapel, being a woman and still continuing on the work at Haikey Chapel is something that, I truly don't take lightly. I've been asked, what makes you, what has sustained you in wanting to keep doing ministry in the United Methodist Church? And I think back, I'm a lifelong Methodist. Whenever I was in college, I had the opportunity to go do an internship at the United Nations through the United Methodist Women. And I interned at the Church Center for the United Nations under Reverend Kathleen Stone. But I was really there to attend the Permanent Forum for Indigenous Issues. And I just went to observe, to help any which way I can. And before I knew it, I was being asked to address the UN on the doctrine of discovery. And, I accepted the call to go do that. And whenever you speak at the UN, you have these headphones on, and there's a little dial at the bottom of your desk. And while I was reading our statement from the United Methodist Church, I turned that dial and I realized that my words were being translated into all the languages of the world that were present there. And I think that was the first time where I realized that the world is listening to our words, and how often are Native voices being allowed a presence at a table like that, where their words are being listened to, not just by the people at the table, not just by the people that may be sitting in the room listening, but at that moment, the world was listening to a Native voice. And so that pushed me forward to start standing up and being a voice whenever I could be. And it instilled in me a responsibility that I, as a Native woman, don't have the convenience of being quiet. I definitely live in a little bubble in OIMC. We are a Native American annual conference, and I'm surrounded by my culture and by wonderful elders and mentors who know how to walk that line of Christianity and their cultural ways. But whenever I leave that little bubble, it's my responsibility to share to share my voice and my perspective, and to do that in a very compassionate way. And so whenever I think about our Native women, think about the women that are in our conference, and I think about the wisdom that they have. And whenever I think about my mentors, the majority of them have been women, DSs, and wonderful pastors who have taken me under their wing, and they've all been women. And I've had the luxury as a Native American woman to be molded by these Native female voices. And one thing my mother has always expressed to me is, whenever you leave the house and you go do the things that God has set in your heart to do, she gives us 4 rules, and she always tells us, remember who you are, remember where you come from, remember who you belong to, and remember who you represent. And I think those founding rules that my loving mother has, instilled in me and my siblings, has really molded how I present myself to the world, and how I allow my Christianity to guide me whenever I'm out and about, and working in my community. And I think about the young women who are coming behind me, and the responsibility we have to them. Whenever I think about the work that I do, how is that affecting the women of today, but also affecting the women that, are behind me, affecting the women that aren't even here yet, and what kind of legacy are we leaving them? And so I definitely want to work in a way that provides space for Native voices to be heard in our Methodist church. I often, tell people a lot of times, like my conference, and a lot of Indigenous voices are left off of the table. And what I mean by that is, whenever decisions and conversations are being made, I think we need to be very mindful of allowing space for all of these wonderful voices to be heard. Whenever we are allowing different perspectives and different backgrounds at our table, where we are making decisions and dreaming about the future of the church, I would hope that the voice of our Native people, our Indigenous people, and our Indigenous women would have a place at those tables to share. Because let me tell you, church, the women of our Native women, and they are dreamers, and they have such wisdom in their voices. And I'm just so honored to have, get to be a part of that back at home.